Hey everyone, welcome back to more Flesh and Bad and long time no see. So Tegan and I have been kind of pretty busy between the Zen documentary and also just doing pro quests and traveling and stuff like that. So we haven't really gotten a ton of chance to record, but I wanted to kind of upload a few games and just kind of have a little bit of fun on the channel now that we're kind of in like a down season between Nats and also like the next BNR and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about the League That Means Nothing, which Tegan and I are kind of both participating in. Tegan, I think, chose Kano for the League That Means Nothing, but I chose Rhinar, which is a deck that I've barely played or like played like maybe a handful of times. I wanted to just kind of do something fun, and Rhinar seemed like a pretty interesting deck. I don't know if it's necessarily the best deck, obviously, but it's kind of cool. I don't know. There's some I feel like allure to Rhinar for me that like I don't know. I like decks that were where they kind of punish like fatigue decks and D-reacts and stuff like that. So I feel like Rhinar kind of fits that bill pretty well. And I wanted to get the chance to kind of play him because I've never really played Rhinar like competitively to any extent. So I kind of want to just have some fun and do like a more casual game. So this list is kind of a mishmash between a list from Savage Lands from Nathan, who's the resident, I guess, Rhinar expert on YouTube. And also, I think there's another guy who won a pro quest recently whose name is like Rhinoceros. But I kind of like synthesized a lot of the ideas that were kind of back and forth between those two lists and kind of came up with a more hybrid list of my own that kind of fit my playstyle a little bit more. So I got in a couple games on this deck, and the main deck is like pretty simple. You're kind of just trying to do the Rhinar thing of like intimidate cards at hand, go pretty wide with a bunch of attacks, and then hopefully punish your opponent with intimidate and stuff like that, while also kind of like outvaluing them and being aggressive. In the sideboard, we also just have like a little defensive package for like assassins, stuff like that. Some disruption, some pummels, just some fun stuff. And AB3. So the deck is like pretty simple for the most part, but I think it's definitely complex in terms of like the decision points, like when to roll scabs, like what your kind of percentage of like discarding or like drawing something bad basically is. So it seems like kind of a fun deck to at least kind of like experiment with, play around with, and get some fun games on. So yeah, again, most of you probably know this already, but we're still working on that Zen documentary. We've got a lot of kind of work ahead of us to kind of like get that out the door, but we're gonna basically be doing kind of like similar schedule with the channel, basically, where we're gonna be doing like every other day-ish is kind of the plan. And if we kind of fall a little bit short of that, it's probably because we're doing interviews or stuff like that. But yeah, today I just wanted to have fun, get some practice on this deck for the League That Means Nothing, and yeah, let's go ahead and get some games. All right, so we got an Ira. I think in general, Rhinar tends to like to go first, so I'm going to choose first. And what do we want to Ira? Is there anything we really want from our sideboard? The reacts are cute, but I feel like not entirely necessary, and I don't also feel like we're going to get fatigued. So I feel like maybe our just main deck 60 is probably fine. But again, I'm not necessarily an expert on this deck, so could be wrong on that. Okay, how do we want to start this off? I think we're probably just starting off with Wild Ride, if I had to guess. We could also roll Scabs and just see, since it's turn 1. The downside of rolling Scabs on turn 1 is like pretty low, and the upside might be pretty substantial. Although with the Wild Ride, like we're pretty likely to get the action point anyways. I'll roll Scabs and see what we get. If we just pass here, it's also kind of fine. Okay, we're basically status quo here. I think we'll just lead off on the Wild Ride and get some early intim off. Right, discarding a windup is fine. If we can IP them a little, I think we're kind of okay with that. All right, giving us 2 block. Seems fine. And then we have the option to claw and then Arsenal CNC, or we can do something else. We could maybe send CNC. Doesn't seem super impactful. I feel like I'd rather just claw and maybe that we intimidated like a bad card on the other hand. I don't know. I think this is still kind of fine. If we get a piece of armor out of them, I think that might be a win. All right, we go ahead and close chain and just Arsenal CNC pass. I wonder if there's maybe merit to like just trying to Arsenal the Wild Ride or something. That seems like a little suspect. All right, this is a hand I feel like that wants to kind of block a little bit, just because we don't really have the action point economy to kind of support this. Like, I feel like my vision with this hand is to just like send CNC Arsenal swing big, and then maybe like block 6 on disruption or something. They do notably have mask momentum, so it's something we do have to be a little bit careful of. All right, so we can either block Chainlink 3, or alternatively we can block now. I feel like we'll just save armor for Chainlink 3 since it's pretty likely to be disruption or something. See if they want to use their best at all. It seems like they're going to use the first charge of best. makes sense. So now we have to debate whether or not they're going to have a Rain Razor here. I don't know. It's pretty unlikely. Could also just send like, we could block with like Skullcrack and then just send the Swing Big in with like Barraging Beat out. It's an option. I feel like I'll give the Bonebreaker and the Skullcrack and then maybe just try to get our Mike token. Because like we still don't really have a super efficient way to use this hand. And if they have the Razor Reflex or whatever, I think we're maybe okay with that. Alright, seems like they didn't really have the follow-up there. So now the question is, do we roll Scabs? So with Scabs, what we could do is we could do Claw for 4 into CNC, or CNC for 7 into Claw, or something like that. The alternative was we just do Barraging into a big Swing Big. Could give him a Quicken, but that's pretty low risk, especially with Ira. Like, I feel like most of the play patterns are on Kadachi, so the Quicken doesn't matter a ton anyways. I think we're just going to go for the Intim. Maybe just make their D-Reacts a little bit awkward here, and then just come in for 11. Presumably, they're going to like double block here and then just take this down to 9, but I think that's still a win. Oh yeah, and if this is what we get out of them, I think we're maybe happy with that. If that last card was like a blue or something. The last card was a red, then that is a pretty terrible hand for them. But this next hand looks actually pretty decent. I think it's like a little bit awkward, just because we want to like play the Smash Back and then maybe just like send packing or something like that. So I think here, what do we want to do? I feel like maybe just blocking with the Splatter Skull makes a decent amount of sense, and then just like sending a little bit of disruption at them. I think I'm okay with that. Pretty unlikely that they're going to have disruption on one card, unless it's like Snatch or whatever. But in that case, like, I don't think we're really caring about this. Fortunately, our send packing does get worse. Could also just send CNC and then Arsenal to packing. I think that is another option. Yeah, Arsenal send packing with the extra action point might be pretty alright. Yeah, sure. Let's go ahead and like smash back here and then just send CNC so they're not able to react us. I think that's a reasonable compromise. We're still just kind of waiting for our like blood rushes, I feel like, a little bit. All right, go ahead and pass here. All right, it seems like they're just going to eat the 6 here. We get a nice little might and agility setup, so I think that's pretty reasonable. I feel like this hand needs a little bit of help from Sash, maybe. So we're probably looking to block with that a little bit this turn. I feel like I want to save the flashback for their like 5-card hands, ideally, if I can help it. All right, looking for scrap for 6. I think we're just going to take a little bit of damage here. Could also throw them off their game and like flashback this, assuming they have like a CNC or something. Feels like it might be semi-likely. It would also put them on Arsenal, which makes our send packing better. I kind of don't mind that, because what if we give them both armor here? Is that too greedy? Losing the flashback does, I feel like, hurt. Still also have like 6 armor here, so it's not like the end of the world. I think I'm just going to take this. If they have CNC here, I'm going to feel a little stupid, but if they don't have CNC, I think it might be a bit greedy to go for that. I don't know. It's probably a decent flush bag for what it's worth. All right, so they're going to name Sensor, or they're going to attack with Sensor, rather. I think this is fine. So I feel like this kind of works out similarly. So we'll just give them 2 cards here, and then we'll just pop our Sash so that we can develop out our Pulping and our Bare Fangs and stuff. Yeah, I think I don't mind that. We are unfortunately going to have to pitch one of these reds to make this work. So I feel like let's pop our Sash and then start with the Bare Fang since we already have the action point. Hope to draw into like a blue or something. All right, that did not actually help us. That actually might have just killed us. I wonder if the Sash was actually pretty bad. The Sash might have been bad. Well, that's at least good to know that this was a bad Sash. Maybe, what was the better play there? I feel like the better play was to not Sash and maybe just like pitch 2 reds. That also feels like pretty terrible. Yeah, I think that was a bad Sash. All right, that's okay. We're learning a little bit here. I feel like I got greedy. I wonder if maybe it was a bad play after I blocked, because I think I was like banking on like drawing something off the Savage Feast, and maybe that's why I thought this play would be a little bit better than it was. But might be still okay here. I think my thought was like I can play this for 0, and then we get a random card draw, and then maybe we draw into like a blue or something that will let us smooth out our hand. And then we blocked with it, so then that made our hand like significantly worse. All right, Kadachi for 1. I think that's a-okay with me. It's good to get the practice in now, though, as opposed to doing it for the first time in game. I gotten a little bit of practice with this deck, but not enough to be super, super comfortable. All right, Beast Within hit is excellent, obviously. And then I think... So we don't want a Pulping just yet, I feel like. I feel like we want to maybe get the Claw value first. We don't have extra action points, so it's a little bit awkward. We have 2 floating. We go Claw, Claw, 2 floating. We could Mighty Wind Up this, actually, and then Claw, Claw, Pulping. I don't know if we can do everything, though. Let's, I guess, Claw first and just try to get the value here. They have, like, a Flick or something. It's not the end of the world, I feel like. I feel like I want to make sure I get the Claw value in first before we try to risk it on the Pulping. All right, now I think we can probably safely go for the Pulping, especially since they haven't blocked. Seems like it might be pretty decent for us. All right, discarding the windup. That is good, I think. I think we actually would have had like a really insane turn here if we still had access to that Sash. And fortunately here, it looks like we're also not going to be getting like Deer Active from Arsenal, which means that it's pretty likely that some packing is actually going to be pretty rough for them. So it seems like we're going to be able to get that looking for scrap out of them, and then they're going to get 2 cards back, but we, I think, bought ourselves a decent amount of tempo there. Ooh, and this next hand... this hand is, like, okay. We have to, like, block with the Sand Sketch, which is a little bit weird. So that's awkward. But otherwise, I think it's kind of fine. I think I'm going to use the second Kadachi as the flesh bag target and just kind of disrupt them a little bit more. All right, coming in for 5. Yeah, I feel like maybe we just throw a Sand Sketch plus Scowling here. There's not a ton of disruption I feel like they could really have here. That would be super impactful. Maybe like Censor or something. But even Censor's not like insane, I feel like. They could Blood Splatter Vest. Oh, I guess they've already used all 3 Censors. That's kind of funny. So I guess maybe we don't even need to play around Censor anymore. I think it's pretty good for us. All right, so we found our second Blood Rush, which is obviously great. And if we can manage to hit the RNG on the... well, I guess it's not even RNG on the Beast Within, right? We just guaranteed to get the Beast Within trigger. It's pretty good. I wonder if we hold priority there, if we can order the triggers. So we're drawing 2 cards. We can draw this, discard, Savage Feast, draw a random card. It's pretty good. So I think we're just keeping both on top. Yeah, so we'll do Claw, hitch this to the other Claw, and then Savage Feast to end it. It's pretty alright. This deck is, I think, a lot of fun when it does its thing. And yeah, it seems like we kind of did our thing there pretty well. I think that Sash turn was wrong. I'm gonna obviously like leave this game in here because I think that it's good to like learn from your mistakes a little bit. Like I think that Sash turn was probably greedy when after we blocked with the Savage Feast. I think the better play there was to maybe just like Bare Fangs. But otherwise, I think once we drew our Blood Rushes, I feel like we were able to kind of like get back in the game a little bit after that because that was kind of like I don't know, that was probably not the best Savage Sash turn I've ever seen. Yeah, but with that, let's go ahead and try to get another one. All right, so we got a Verdance. I wonder what amount of AB we want into Verdance. I can definitely see like AB3 being correct. It's pretty like low opportunity cost. For sideboard, do we want anything? Probably not. I think we're just probably gonna run it as is and see how it goes. I don't know what Verdance is in terms of good, bad matchups, but it seems maybe fun. We do also have a windup to kind of start us off, so getting an extra Might token is pretty decent. Although opponent is hitting us with the turn 1 nourishing, which is definitely a little bit scary. I guess we're gonna go ahead and discard the windup here. I feel like maybe just using the armor on this is correct. Let's go ahead and keep. We want to keep. Let's maybe keep the sand sketch in case we need it. And then just as a blue, and then maybe just block with the R2 armor. It feels like a little bit bad to use armor like this, but it is blocking a pretty relevant on hit, I feel like. I don't know. Maybe that's incorrect. I guess it depends on like what kind of Verdance this is. Because if this is a more arcane Verdance, then the armor doesn't really do a ton of like over the course of the game. But if it's more attack action focused, which I feel like nourishing maybe signals that it's not, then I guess it's a little bit worse. All right, what are we doing here? So we have Sigil Cycles, which is obviously decent. Decent card to develop early. Part of me wants to roll Scabs and just see what happens. You could also play Sigil Cycles, then roll Scabs. Which opens this up to kind of some interesting plays. Let's, I guess, do that. Because if we roll Scabs and we hit extra, then we can do Claw into Savage Feast, discard Splatter Skull. Which could be pretty alright. I want to make sure I play out the Sigil Cycles first, I think, before rolling Scabs. Just in case. Alright, hopefully no one here, though. Now, I don't really know what this matchup's supposed to be like. I imagine we're probably decently favored just because they're a deck that wants to block and we're a deck that kind of punishes blocking to some extent. All right, seems like they're going to mental block. Okay, we hit a 6. Never punished. What do we want to do off a 6? I think we're still just doing the same plan as if we hit a 2. So we'll go ahead and just claw, get our value in there, and then finish on Savage Feast, Arsenal, whatever random card we draw. Get the Intim. All right, Sigil Cycles is not a terrible arsenal, honestly. Could also theoretically play it, but maybe we want to space out the Sigil Cycles. I feel like, yeah, that kind of does make a little bit of sense, I feel like. Just so we're not, like, playing 2 Sigil Cycles at the same time. All right, Swell Tidings. So we have a lot of blues in our hand, so I kind of don't feel too bad just, like, pitching here. I think we're going to go and pitch the Reckless Swing. And on our turn, maybe discard the Wrecker Romp since it's kind of a redundant 6. All right, let's discard Wrecker. All right, drawing into a Wild Ride is not bad. We could play out another Sigil Cycles and then do like Wild Ride into like CNC or something. But even that doesn't really work. We could also like use Sash to maybe make this a little bit smoother. It's a very early Sash though. I wonder if that's correct. We're definitely playing out the other Sigil though, I think. The Sash is a little bit greedy, but we also like potentially get to turn on our claws as well. I think I'm supposed to do it. Because if we manage to just discard like a random 6 off the top, then we can play CNC after, which is pretty good. Even this is not terrible, I feel like. Just smooth out the hand a little bit, I think. Now I guess we just get to follow up with a claw here. I think it's not great. But we also, I guess, discard the CNC, which maybe made it a little bit worse. I don't know. It's definitely interesting to think about. Okay. So we have action points next turn, which is good. If the Arsenal reacts, the pulping gets a little bit scary. So I don't know if we want to go gung-ho on the pulping. Let's, I guess, just not pay into the Surgeon and see what they do. All right, into Healing Potion is fine. So pulping, I think, is definitely one of those cards where you can just get blown out, like, on the spot if you're not careful. And the question here is, do we want to, like, discard an Agile Wind-Up? Just so that we can have a guaranteed action point on our next turn? It's, like, mildly tempting. I think we don't. Maybe we do. Because I'm thinking, like, if we lose the pulping, it gets significantly worse. I think we're just discarding the send packing to the sigil cycles here. All right, draw into another windup. That's fine. Let's, I guess, go ahead and start off with the Savage Feast, maybe? Because we want to use our agility token, I think, here. All right, discard a windup, draw a random card. That's pretty good. Bear Fangs, and then we can potentially arsenal either the pulping or something else. I think this definitely kind of works out. All right, so we didn't get punished by the pulping there, fortunately. I think that discarding the windup there feels a little bit bad, but I feel like it does kind of make sense. Now we're potentially IPing them here, depending on what they got. Right, discarding Skullcrack, which is obviously we're not going to be able to use the resource from, but it's whatever. And we'll go ahead and just Arsenal's pulping here. All right, if we get plowed, not the end of the world here, I think. I feel like this might be a setup turn. What happens if we block 6 and then just play Smashback Arsenal Beast? I feel like that could be pretty decent. I feel like there's no real reason to try to like do anything with this hand. Could like roll scabs and try to be like super aggressive or something, but I don't know that we need to. Obviously, losing 2 Beast Withins feels like a little bit weird, just because it is one of your better cards to discard. But I think that if it's in your hand, you might as well just get it out. All right, go ahead and smash back, and then I think just set up for next turn here. Trying to just be super annoying in case they have like reacts or something. Unfortunately, it seems like our blood rushes are in the bottom half of our deck, which I think is a little bit suboptimal. But hopefully we can kind of make something work here. Seems like they're, I don't know what kind of Verdance this, the Swell Tidings is definitely throwing me off, I think, a little bit. Not used to seeing that card in Verdance specifically. All right, seems like they're just going to gain a little bit of life and send another one. Oh, it looks like they are running the full suite of Swell Tidings. Interesting. All right, go ahead and just take 5 here. I think this works out pretty well for us. I think we're just leading off on the Savage Feast just because it informs us of like what we're going to draw and stuff, and also use our agility token pretty well. Gets the Intim off as well, which is pretty relevant. All right, drawing another Swing Big is, I don't know exactly what I would have asked for, but maybe not the end of the world. So the question here is, I guess, do we IP and just send? So option 1 is we can claw and then like send CNC afterwards. Option 2 is we can just send like CNC and then IP with double Swing Big, which isn't terrible. That's also not great. I feel like getting the 3 value might be semi-relevant, even if we're going off an arsenal. So I think we're going to do that. It does feel definitely a little bit bad, though, especially if we haven't seen a Blood Rush. Having a 5-card hand with Blood Rush is significantly better than not having a 5-card hand with the Blood Rush. Well, we can maybe potentially catch them with the CNC here, which is what I'm kind of hoping happens, or maybe they're having to give us like Barkskin or something. If we get Arsenal too, I think that's a win. Oh, yeah, if we get a Nourishing out of Arsenal, I think that's definitely pretty relevant. All right, Felling, definitely a little bit scary. But it does mean that our Blood Rush, I guess our Blood Rush is like the same, but we still get the Beast Within and whatever. Go ahead and put Packing back in the deck, and I think just keep this 3-card Blood Rush hand. It's probably not terrible. Taking 8 here, which is like a little bit scary, but is what it is. Hopefully we're going to be able to convert this pretty well, assuming that the top of our deck is a little bit kind to us. All right, how much damage are we taking off this Beast Within? Anyone's guess. Let's see. All right, drawing an Alpha Rampage is maybe not terrible. Seems like they're also just mental blocking so they don't get IP'd with it. Does make sense. All right, another Blood Rush. Alternative is we just go, well, I can't Alpha Rampage is a problem. If we do another Blood Rush, though, it gets super weird. Huh. What is the plan here? Could do Claw into another Blood Rush, or alternatively, we can just like Alpha Rampage discarding Blood Rush. Oh, that feels pretty bad. You also overpitch the Blood Rush and just put it back in the deck. Or we could like YOLO off Sand Sketched. I feel like those are the plays that I see. What if we do Claw Claw, pitch the Blood Rush, into Sand Sketched, do something? I feel like this hand is a little bit of a mystery to me. I feel like the best play is maybe just Claw, Close Chain, Blood Rush, pitch here, and then maybe we draw something that we can follow up on. I feel like that makes the most amount of sense. It's definitely awkward though. I feel like there's not really like a clean way to use this Blood Rush. It might also be in part because we didn't use our Savage Sash like incredibly well this game. I feel like that's still a card that I'm having a little bit of trouble using in Rhinar as opposed to like KO or something. But we're gonna stick to the plan here. All right, do draw a Splatter Skull, which does mean that we're gonna get to banish one of the cards we intimidated, because this does cost 2. Notably, I think. Oh, this does apply to attacks. Interesting. Well, we can always just close chain on this, which is A-okay with me. And then the Splatter Skull will come in for 10. I think this worked out, although I wonder if there was a better play. I can definitely see there being a better play. All right, close chain here. And then go ahead and just finish on the Splatter Skull. So we're getting at minimum 10 damage here, and we're also getting rid of one of the 2 cards that we intimidated. So we're going to take the right card. Ooh, we hit our Ringer Roses. It's pretty relevant, honestly. Oh, and this hand is incredible, I think. So we'll go ahead and just pay 0 into this. Let them add their value. Then we'll go in with the next Blood Rush. So keep a Wrecker Romp in hand, which is actually pretty good, depending on what we're drawn to. Send Packing is pretty relevant. So we do Claw Claw, Send Packing. That I think works out. So we should be pushing a pretty decent sum of damage here. Even through Embodiment, like we should still be pushing at least a bit here. And then finish on the Packing. Getting a Felling out of the Crown out of them is also quite solid. All right, seems like they're going to plume something, which is interesting. What are they pluming back? Plume of Fruits of the Forest. Oh, I think that might just be game. Yeah. All right, well, we got another win. I feel like I'm having a little bit of trouble using my Savage Sash, but I'm also, not super familiar with this deck. I feel like the hands I've been drawing have maybe just been like, I should just take the loss and accept that this hand is going to be like a little bit below rate instead of trying to like force Savage Sash to like make the hand a little bit better. I think that's maybe a hang up I'm having a little bit. But I think like the core game plan we got at least a little bit down. We draw Blood Rush, we play Blood Rush, and then we hope to draw into good cards and then kill our opponent and make them not want to block and stuff like that. I think the core game plan is pretty good. Let's at least try to get one more and see how it goes. All right, so we got a new. New being a hero that is probably not going to be in the game for much longer, but we might as well get the practice. So what do we want into new? Are we just like fat decking them? That could honestly be correct. Because we have all these reacts, we might as well use them. The stags are also pretty relevant. Give them a good luck, have fun. Maybe we don't want to go like full react. Maybe we want to go like partial react. You can see that also being the case. Let's be around 70 and see how it goes. All right, seems like they're also fat decking slightly as well. Let's, I guess, just set up the Might token for next turn, then maybe just go like Claw, Arsenal, Set Packing or whatever. Just get some cards out of them and deny them, I think, a little bit of filtering. Maybe you intimidate a card that they want to block with, that kind of thing. Alright, I think we'll just close chain here, Arsenal pass. Alright, seems like they are a CYB new. Good information. So they're definitely probably going to be looking for some kind of fatigue angle here. Don't think there's any real reason to block misplayed here for any reason. Like, what is the worst they can have here? Like a levels. They have a Siren's Call. It's like annoying, but other than that, I don't think we really care. Siren's Call is probably not even that bad. Probably just like give them a block and then we don't take any damage or whatever. Yeah. It's annoying, but it's not like, I guess, as bad as if you're playing Zen or whatever. And we still have the redundant blue, so it's really not the end of the world, I feel like. Alright, they're going to take the Alehorn, which is interesting choice. I almost wonder if, I feel like the Wrecker might be better there, but I don't really know. Maybe they know something that I don't. Let's go ahead and I guess wow right here. So we hit, right, we draw into a Blood Rush. Feels maybe like we're just going to be pitching that here. And yeah, I think we're probably just going to be sending in with Send Packing. We'll save the Blood Rush for next cycle, which is definitely not ideal, but getting our value where we can get it, I think. All right, Rising Sun, Setting Moon, and Arsenal probably have a D-React here. Ooh, Oasis. Okay. So it looks like they're maybe just trying to Arsenal Rising Sun, and maybe... I think they have one other card here, right? Or no, they don't. Okay, interesting. The Oasis are also quite interesting, probably for Kano or something. All right, this is also kind of an interesting hand. So we know that their last card in hand is the Rising Sun. Just good information, I think. All right, now how do we want to follow suit here? Could roll Scabs here and potentially get punished. Could also just send a Swing Big at them, Arsenal Sink Below, and maybe just overpitch the Wild Ride. Kind of feel like that's okay. I don't think rolling Scabs really does anything for us here. I think we probably just want to sit on React here. Which is definitely a little bit awkward knowing that they have Rising Sun, which means like our React is probably not going to be incredibly good. But I think it's still fine to just kind of bank it. It's definitely looking like a very fatiguey new. I wonder if they're probably prepping for like ProQuest season and stuff like that, or for Nat season rather. Makes sense to me. Are you gonna give me like 2 reacts here? Okay, just 1 react makes sense as well. Okay, what we got here? Coming in with Mistblade. Saw them pitch a levels. So they have 2 levels that are live in the deck, but I think we maybe just don't care. I think I want to be kind of conservative with my flashback here. If they have another Siren's Call, what do we do? Probably just take it, honestly. I don't think there's any real incentive to like try to reckless swing and then like have a non-functioning hand on the next turn. I think we'll probably just like let them grab it and then just like send the weakest link or whatever. Oh. Right, into a Bonds of Agony. So we know for a fact that they're sitting on a Rising Sun, Setting Moon, which means that they have React here, assuming that they don't have React in hand. If they React here, then we... How do we block this? So if this is Justinic in hand, what do we do? Justinic plus Arousing Wave makes this 5 plus 5, it makes it 11. It's probably a decent flush bag just to like guarantee that we're not getting punished. And if they Arousing Wave, then they're only pumping it by 4 functionally, which means that we can cover it with the Sink Below from Arsenal. So I think we should probably just not give them an out to Justinic from hand and then just use the flush bag. And if they want to pop a Rousing Wave, then I think we're fine with that. I think this makes sense. It does feel like maybe a little bit of a weird flush bag because we know that they have Rising Sun in here, but it does like just give us a little bit more control over like how much this bonds is coming in for. All right, so they're going to fleshbag that. That makes sense. So we'll go ahead and give them what tier? I think we're just going to try to hold on to like the weakest link, so maybe we just give them like Savage Feast. If they want to pop a Rousing Wave on this, I think we're fine with that, because now we have a Rousing Wave out of the way. And the question here is, do we want to like filter anything? We could honestly try to filter something here. Maybe filter Mighty Wind Up, just to try to find something like a little bit better to Arsenal. I think that also makes... We could also filter the Reckless and just save it for second cycle. That could also make sense. Let's filter the Reckless, I think. Oh, Smashback, I think, is a pretty decent draw there. So they do still have an Arsenal here, whatever that random card that we intimidated is. Let's go ahead and I think Smashback here. I don't think there's a super strong incentive to keep an Arsenal, especially when they don't have like Leave No in graveyard yet. And then we'll go ahead and just send in with the weakest link, which is probably pretty easily blocked by them, but we do at least get hand information if it hits, so pretty relevant. All right, giving us 2 cards there makes sense. All right, this hand could use, I think, a little bit of help, but maybe not getting the help, especially into like a CNC. So what's our play here? We can like block with the Wrecker Romp and then just do Claw Claw, which feels pretty bad, but it's 7 damage, which is not terrible. Then we can Arsenal Sync. Might be our best play. Because like the Wrecker Romp doesn't do anything. Like, you can't pummel a Wrecker Romp, right? So they were just blocking with the Wrecker Romp and then just kind of phoning it in on this hand a little bit. All right, go ahead and Claw Claw just off the agility, which is pretty low value, but got to make do with some of these Rhinar hands, I think. And we can Arsenal this nice little sync here. All right, into a Mistblade. So the Mistblade does get a little bit scary on a 5-card hand. The best question is it worth it to give armor here? I feel like the answer to that is no. We just let them kind of do whatever, especially since they're like a CYB new. I feel like the chance that they can convert their hand offensively is a lot lower. What are we doing here? Do we care about them banishing anything from graveyard? We care about, I guess, them hitting a Wrecker Romp, but Wrecker Romp's not even really the end of the world for us, I feel like. I feel like we'll just let them hit here. See what their follow-up is. Seems like they maybe have reaction here or something. Right, Siren Skull is annoying, but not the end of the world. So we could have, I guess, sync below that, but like the chances of us drawing a no blue are also pretty substantial. So I don't know that that's necessarily worth it, and we can still just send a swing big off this hand, so it's not like completely ruining our hand. I think that is the 3rd Siren Skull, though. So at least we don't have to play around Siren Skull anymore, which is quite nice. It's honestly the best part of this card is that when you see 3 of them, you know you're kind of done, basically. Curious to see if they had that Just Nick. So they had Just Nick in hand, but the card in Arsenal was the random card we intimidated, I think. So I think we're just going to sit on the sync below and then just try to send swing big on our turn. If they go for a block on it, I think we're fine with that for the most part. Right, banishing a wind up. Maybe just trying to find a yellow to banish as well. Okay, just going to banish the blue Wrecker Romp just to have it for later. Also makes sense. All right, go ahead and just send in this kind of sad swing big. But still not the end of the world. If we had 3 cards out of them, I think I'm kind of happy with that exchange. Seems like they also have an Eradicate in hand. Very interesting. All right, Art is our mind. 4-card hand. I don't know what this is. It's obviously not a Siren Skull. Or no, it could be a Siren Skull because we've only seen 2 of them. Oh, I put it in the graveyard, right? That makes sense. Yes. So we still have 1 more Siren Skull to worry about. Could theoretically block, but putting them on the 3rd Siren Skull feels like a little bit suspect. I think we're just going to take a little bit of damage here. Yeah, we'll see what they got. I'm assuming that they're maybe just going to like stiletto this or something. I'm definitely kind of curious to see what they have here. Okay, they did have the 3rd Siren Skull, apparently. Do we react to this and just try to bottom the barraging? I feel like our success chance of that is actually quite high. Let's, I guess, try to do it. Feels weird, but I also don't want to give them like triple Siren Skull value if I can help it. Okay, and we get them to whip, which actually kind of works out pretty well for us here, I think. See what their follow-up is here, because they have to invest some amount of resources to make this 5-card hand kind of worth it here. All right, seems like they're maybe just going to go for Mask as well. I think we're just going to give them a weakest link and then try to go for a Blood Rush here. Sure. So it definitely looks like they're going to try to like fatigue us is kind of maybe their game plan. But we're still... We could also Arsenal Blood Rush, but that feels super greedy. I feel like we're supposed to just develop it out here. It's got to be correct, right? Okay, and this is... Yeah, this is pretty bad. What's an option? Or I guess what is our option here? We can just send Skullcrack for 8. Ugh, that's like pretty atrocious. Yeah, unfortunately, I think Rhinar just has some hands like this. I guess we could have like potentially done something about it. We could Claw, Pop, Sash. That also feels like terrible. I think we're just cutting our losses here. Just setting in with the Skullcrack for 8. Definitely, like, I feel like you want to almost guarantee you have a blue for Blood Rush there. Wonder if it was maybe not worth it to go for it, maybe just Arsenal it. But arsenaling it also feels pretty bad, especially when they still have like 3 Leave No Witnesses and 2 CNCs left. I don't know. I guess we still have armor if they go for like a CNC. Maybe that was something to think about. All right, so now we do have Siren Skulls, all 3 of them out of the way, which is positive. This card is one of the cards of all time. I keep every time I play against Noob, this card is just like standout bonkers. Kind of wild that they printed this card. Not gonna lie. It seems like they're maybe holding on to a CNC there. All right, so they have a CNC in hand, then one other unknown card in Arsenal, and then an intimidated card. Seems like they're just gonna pass. Interesting. I think this might be our opportunity to just play out the Savage Beatdown. Kind of works out pretty well here. We Agile Wind Up, Intim, then double Intim off this. Or no, just single Intim off this. But we come in for 12. I think that's pretty worth it. So we'll do ability here. Just get our free little 12 damage here. I think it's not bad. Intimidate 2 cards out of them, which is also potentially relevant, especially if they're a more fatigue deck. Unfortunately, we didn't get the react there, but I think this hand next turn is quite solid there. So I think they're still holding on to a CNC potentially. So we have a Leave No coming in. The question here is, do we want to like just block with Sash just in case we need it for next turn? I don't know that we will need it though. We could need it. It's possible. I'm gonna save it though. I feel like it's pretty unlikely that we do need it, especially with the blue in hand and a beast within. I feel like our chances of having the resources we need are actually quite high. So I think we're just supposed to take this lead now, and then maybe they have like a CYB or something. They've only played out 1, which is also quite interesting. Definitely means that we're kind of geared up to have tempo if they draw into them and aren't able to like use them or whatever. All right, it's getting a blue barraging, which could be pretty okay. I guess they like blue barraging into like a Wrecker Romp or something. I mean, that's like kind of annoying, but I think it's kind of irrelevant. I feel like if we got to that point in the game, we're probably lost. All right, pass is A-okay with me. All right, 50-50 to discard Beast Within, never punished. And then we have Pulping and Bare Fangs. Both are a little bit awkward here. But we do have the Agility token, which will help us smooth out a little bit if we need it. Savage Sash is also potentially interesting to me. Could also like pitch the sink below so we're like guaranteed to not use it or something. That also gets a little bit interesting. Let's, I guess, we could start with the Pulping and risk it. Because we don't actually need to discard a 6 with this. It'd obviously be ideal. I think we're just supposed to claw here. What if we claw, overpitch into claw, and then just finish on like a bear fangs or something? We're wasting the agility, but I think that's okay. As long as we're getting our claw like value guaranteed. Then I think we'll finish on the bear fangs here. All right, discarding a sand sketch, which is not the end of the world. So our chances of breaking off the top there, I think we're semi-high or like reasonably high, especially with this kind of configuration of the deck. But we're in pretty good shape here, honestly. The pulping gets to be a little bit scary. I feel like we're probably just supposed to give armor this. If they have like a hiss or something, then we can theoretically just like reckless. Obviously, the reckless would be like pretty bad, but maybe we should just give them the arsenal in that case. I think that's fine. Let's go ahead and just give them a little bit of armor here. I think we'll give them the Savage Sash and Scabs. I'm kind of glad I saved my armor for this. And then I guess the question is here, do we want to roll Scabs at all? Because what is the likelihood that they have like React and Arsenal? It's like reasonably high. Although we didn't Tim a lot, so maybe they don't have it. It's kind of, they didn't use it last turn on a Blood Rush turn. I kind of am putting them on not having a React. But the problem with our hand is still that like we discard the pummel anyway, so maybe we still just have to roll Scabs. And if we get a 1, we just like lose on the spot. All right, 2 does not lose on the spot, but we're kind of in a similar situation. Could also just pummel a Splatter Skull, which comes in for 9 guaranteed, but we're not having like the pretty substantial risk of just like losing here. So I think we're just gonna pummel this. I don't know if the pummels are supposed to come in this matchup. If I'm being real, I don't actually know what the pummels are for, but it is pretty spicy to pummel a Splatter Skull here. I think this is the safe play. I think rolling Scabs there was correct for what it's worth, just so that we're not like guaranteed kind of losing on the spot. All right, this is interesting. So we have a hand of all blues. Our deck is very red heavy with the configuration that we board in. So the chances of us discarding here are actually pretty low. Could just give an armor just for the sake of giving like a piece of armor. I think that's also pretty reasonable. So I guess just give Scabs here and see what they do. Feels like they're probably just gonna like mask us. If they have the grain, then that sucks. But I think this is probably worth it. Right, if it's just Nick, we're also not too upset about this. All right, they're gonna Stiletto as well, which is also quite interesting. Maybe means they have like Codex and Arsenal. That would kind of track, I think. All right, so they're going to get the Bear Fangs and then probably just send in the Leave No. Seems pretty decent. I think we're just gonna block with Apex and then run rough shot and then maybe like sigil, pulping or something. I think this works out. Still had a pretty decent life lead, so as long as we're not getting fatigued, I think we're in okay shape here. They are going to be able to gain a little bit of life off of their CYBs, but we don't have to worry about that, especially since they're only at 1 counter right now functionally. All right, so I think we're just playing out both sigil cycles. Interesting that they're playing out now. I feel like they had some priority to not do that. So now the question, I guess, is do we just claw here and then just keep the pulping in Arsenal? That's also consideration. Maybe getting the free value is like actually fine. I think this is fine. I think these two are both fine to have in hand, especially given that we have 2 sigil cycles out. I think we'll just take the non-aggressive line here. If they want to react this, I think that's like we're basically getting a claw for 4 value. Seems like they may want to bottom a different card. All right, play out last CYB I think is also fine with me. So they're not going to be able to block this turn at all. So we can discard the Beast Within, get some value, and then we can discard another Beast Within. This is What is this? This is from the second sigil cycles, right? Okay. Yeah, 7-card Rhinar hand's pretty good. What is it? There's like a 0% chance we brick here, right? Yeah. Yeah, if we brick there, that would be, I think, a miracle. Uh, Pulping. Another pulping. Yeah, I mean, I think that was a pretty all right hand there, right? Just casual 7-card Rhinar hand. I guess it can happen. You know, Sigil Cycles turns out pretty decent card, especially when you draw into like 2 Beast Withins for some reason. Well, yeah, all skill, no luck involved. Yeah, so this is my Rhino deck for the league that means nothing. If you all enjoyed this deck, let me know. I can play a little bit more on the channel. And again, we're kind of like in a weird downtime with that, where we're kind of like off season. We're waiting on the BNR. We're waiting for Nats. This isn't like a deck that I'm like super serious about, but I do think it's fun. It's cool, and you can obviously get like weird 7-card Rhino hands like we just saw there. So yeah, hope you all enjoy. If you want me to play some more Rhino, again, I'm not an expert at this deck. I was thinking about like enlisting someone who's an expert Rhino to kind of like give me some tips on this deck, because I don't think I'm an expert on this. I still kind of struggle with cards like Savage Sash and like when we should be popping them and when we should be being a little bit more conservative with them. I think I'm getting a little bit better, but I do think that this card is definitely a little bit skill testing. Like you can't just like play it on an all red hand and hope it works out. I think you have to be like a little bit more kind of cautious with this card and try to get like the guaranteed value out of it. Yeah, but anyways, this is my Rhino deck. Thank y'all for watching, and I'll see y'all next time. And a special thank you to all the folks who decided it would be a good idea to give us $2 on Patreon. We really appreciate the support, but it's obviously never required.